so that way you can see what I'm covering. Okay, so let's start with screen share because it's honestly one of the easiest things in the system. So if you go into a lead or a client file, you'll notice that there's a start screen share option. So here in the start screen share, if you've got an email address in this email field here, you can click on start screen share and it will launch your screen share option. And see how it just popped up this little screen share. So far, 0 viewers are entered into the system because I sent to a fake email address. But your lead or client will then be able to click on the link, and the link is also given for you right here if they didn't receive the email for some reason. So this link is right there for them to click on to view your screen until you hit stop sharing. Now it is a one-way directional only, so they'll only be able to view your screen. They can't share their screen with you, but it's a nice free feature that some people just haven't been aware of in Radius. And this is super helpful as you're quoting people. So that way you can show them their list of options and you can show them anything else that you need to get that deal done. So having this visual screen share tool at your disposal, and it's such an easy process rather than being like, go to, even Uber conference and click on this link and enter in this detail. All they have to do is click on this web link and it will bring you to that screen share. So that's screen share. Setting up, okay, so now let's talk about getting the most from your email deliverability. There's one major thing that several of people over the past, or more than several, over the past few weeks haven't had their SMTP set up. And this is something where this is going to be the key thing to help with your email deliverability. So if you are the owner of the account, you will go into settings and you will go into email columns, calendar, and other settings. At the bottom here, there's an option to activate your SMTP settings. You are going to connect your domain, your email provider's information here, either with this Gmail Connect or Office 365 Connect, or if you have another account, you'll just have to go and see in this help app what the SMTP instructions are for your specific domain here. So you'll just go to SMTP setup, and then you'll find those instructions. So they're listed out for you specifically. So that's how you're going to set up your SMTP if you are the account owner. If you are an agent or if you're not the main person on the account, you will go to account, my information, email, and set it up there. If you're the account owner, it's going to tell you that these settings are not enabled for your account. And the reason is because you want to set it up in that other section. Or if you're an agent and your account owner hasn't set it up, it might also give you an error message. So this is kind of crucial though. And you want it to be, one of the key issues that people have is that they set up an SMTP for an email that's not associated with their email profile. So make sure that this email in your account, my information, is the same one that you're putting into that SMTP. So again, if you're an agent, you're going to go to account, my information, you're going to double check your email address, then you'll go to this email and set up your SMTP. And again, as I said, all of this is covered in that article, so I don't want to spend too much time, but I did want to flag this because it has been an issue. And I know that you guys are going to be generating some mass email coming up. And even if you're just doing product updates and stuff, you're going to need to make sure that that deliverability rate is high. Also, we have some tips for deliverability in this, in an article. So you might want to check that out as well, because it talks about some of the keywords that you might want to avoid during a mass email. So writing clear and specific subject lines, things like invest now and save big are potential catchwords for that to be considered, spam. So check that out. the main thing is personalize your email templates. And we'll go more into detail about that in the marketing section. But again, this is a key thing that you can do with Radius where you can really get your templates personalized for the leader, the client, to not feel like they're getting a sales pitch, that they're really getting a response to their quote inquiry. So we will cover that a little bit more. I'd like to address now, before we get into the marketing aspect, the difference between status options and tags. I love having very specific status options. This is, you're going to edit them in settings, and then you see here we've got status options, group status options, and account tags. But let me show you how they look first in a lead or a client view. So here, if we're in the lead or the client view, you'll be able to sort by lead status. Now, some people think of this as dispositions. The way I think about it is my work process. I want to get from a new lead to a fully paid up and renewed client. But I also might need things like an archive, like for deceased or not interested or terminated, things like that. So I like to break them out very, very specifically, especially if you've got, specific terminology that you use as an agent or specific terminology that you want your team to use. If you've got a large team, making sure your vocabulary is specific to the way you guys do business is going to really help your agents in the easy process of like, oh, I do a new lead, or somebody comes in, they're a new lead. I do a first call, I do a second call, I do a third call. So having the status of the way that you do your work process is going to be really helpful to you keeping organized in your own work process. And the reason this is so important is because when we get to automated workflows, which is how the bulk of your automations are going to happen, this is going to be one of the core ways that you're going to automate this process. So lead statuses are really important. You also have tags. Now, whereas status is more about where they are in the process of working them, tags are more about the groupings. So maybe you've got your lead sources, you've got EverQuote, NextGen, possible duplicate as a default that we have within the system to help you search for duplicates. Maybe you are selling life insurance or financial services. So you've got pre-retirement versus retirement, referred by client, upsell opportunities. So as you're working your clients, you can be creating these upsell opportunities because maybe you're considering adding in a product, or maybe they just don't have dental or life insurance or something of that nature. So you're going to want to create these tags, which are the groupings rather than the process-based approach. So let me show you how to do that very briefly. Again, it'll be in more depth in the actual articles, but go to settings. First, let's set up account tags because they are the easiest thing, I think, in Radius to do. You hit edit, and then you add a tag of upsell to health. Add tag. That's it. So that's how you group somebody. And then if you're in a lead or a client, you can either bulk update. The bulk update feature is great, by the way, and not a lot of people use it. So here I could select all, bulk update, and add a tag of upsell to health. I'm not going to do, well, yeah, I'll just do it in this case. This is a demo account, so tons of weird information is in here, but submit. That's how easy it is to bulk update a list, by the way. It's fantastic. So, and you can see here in this bulk update option, you can change coverage type, status, agent, carrier, product, tag. You can bulk update to a call queue, which has been very helpful for a lot of people. You can add a note to a group of people, or you could convert leads to a client. So those are your options with bulk update. Now, if I wanted to search for all the people that were upsell to health, I could search by this filter here, and it would pull those people up for me. So that way I could potentially do a call list based off of this tag. Or I could just check in and see, okay, I've got 5 people interested so far in health. Maybe this isn't the right time for me to start creating that policy. So click Reset Filters anytime that you have done a filter here, because it will just keep that filter list until you hit Reset Filters. And again, that button is right here if you didn't catch that. Okay, so if you're in the leader, the client file, you can also add a tag from the tag cloud here. So here on the right-hand column of every page of their file is their tag listing. So if I wanted to put them into a tag of pre-retirement, I could manually do that here. If I sell them health policy, I can remove the tag by hitting that X. So this is how to manually do this. But let me add that back in. And now when I go up here in the leader, the client file, so as I'm calling them, their tags are directly underneath their name. And this to me is really helpful because my lead source is always right underneath their name. So I know if they were referred by somebody, I know if they're pre-retirement, I know if they're upsell to health automatically. And this, you'll see, it's any tab that you have here, you can keep on, seeing that those tags directly under their name, which I really like. So let's talk about status. So now if I wanted to change the lead status, I would change it here and then save that update. But let's go into settings and see how we can add or remove statuses. Again, this will be quick. So first, I like to do group status options. When you sign up for Radius, you just have a default, but I really like breaking things out. Some people even like breaking them out between leads, prospects, and clients. So if I add in prospects as a sort order of 2 and the lead count. So back on the lead page, there's groupings of these numbers. If you want to count how many prospects you have, you can do so by clicking yes. I would not show it on the client count because when I'm on the client page, I don't care about how many prospects I have. So I'll put that in sort order 2 and create. So now, if I look here, I've got my count here. So you can see that prospects is 0 here so far. And in my lead status list, I have prospects here. I think I put clients as number 2 as well. So that's why they're technically number 3. Okay, so now I go back to settings and I'm going to add in a status option group. I'm sorry, a status option under the group of prospects. And I'm going to give it a description of appointment completed, sort order 1, and I'll show it in the lead count because that's an important thing for me to follow up on. And then maybe I'll add another status option of prospects, appointment follow up completed, and sort order 2, show it in the lead count. And now when I go to leads or clients, I can use this lead status dropdown to search for all of my prospects in that grouping of that work process. So if I go into this person and I change her status to appointment completed, now when I go to that lead count, I see that I've got 1 prospect and I see that I've got 1 person that's in that appointment completed. I can also search for it using the filter here. So that way it'll filter her for me. So that's how to build out those statuses. I know it went really fast, but again, reference those videos. Now we're going to focus on setting up the call queues. So here in this settings section on the phone dialer, we can create as many call queues as are relevant for you. So here you can see I've got first attempt, second attempt, third attempt, client check-in, fourth attempt, quote follow-up, turning 65, final call needed. Some people like to also do agent recruitment calls. So I've got an agent recruitment first call, agent recruitment appointment follow-up. So let's add for leads or clients an appointment follow-up queue. And we can put the sort order toward the middle or maybe toward the bottom. So let me put it in as 6, add to call queue. And now if I go into my call queue list, I see appointment follow-up in there. I don't have anybody in that queue yet, but that's available to me. I should pause and mention that if you are the account admin or the account owner, you'll be able to create these settings. If you are an agent, you do not have rights to create these kinds of settings. So be aware of them and be aware of how they work. So that way, if you have a suggestion, you can always ask your admin and be like, hey, I'd love to have an appointment follow-up call queue. Can you create that for me? So being aware of it is great, but you might not be able to do it yourself. Just wanted to put that caveat in there. So that's how to create those call queues. Now let's work on this marketing automation side of things. First thing you'll do is you'll edit your templates. Again, this is if you are an admin. So you would go to Drips. Drips is where all of your templates are stored, regardless of what kind of marketing it is. You can easily edit a template by clicking Edit. And you'll notice when I talked previously about the personalization, these are snippets that personalize the email to the leader, the client, and also from the agent details. So when it's saying hashtag agent name, where that's pulling from is the assigned agent's My Information section. When it is saying dear first name, it's pulling from the lead or the client's first name field. And you'll notice in the lead or the client, it's all one name, but our system is smart enough to know it's first name, and then there's a space, and then whatever is space last name is last name. So it'll use that first name, last name scenario, or you could put in their full name. So all of these are here for you. Any custom fields that you've created are going to be toward the end of this. But here you see all of the personalizations that are available to you, which are a lot. And this is going to be even more helpful as you're doing a renewal template to say, hi, your product with carrier, whatever, so your PPO with Anthem is up for renewal on this date. So you can even say the renewal date, and then you can say, I wanted to check in with you early to make sure that you had everything that you needed. So let me just do this as an example. So I would grab hi first name. Actually, maybe, what I'll do is create a new email template. So I'll add email template. I will give it a name, renewal number 1. Your policy is renewing soon, checking in on you. Okay. So again, you'll use the agent snippets. You can type in the agent name. The reason I like to still use the agent snippets, though, is one, if you have to change your name, maybe you get married or whatever. So if you put the agent name in here, every template would update that has that hashtag agent name, and you would only need to update it in My Information. Same with your email address or phone number. So here we have agent email. And if you wanted to BCC yourself on this, which for renewals, I recommend you BCC yourself. You can do that agent email. If it's something where it's generic, like a new lead, or if it's something that you would be sending out a lot of those emails at once, it might get overwhelming to BCC yourself on every single template. But anything that's date triggered, I usually BCC myself on. So we would say, hi, first name. Hello, first name. And then here we would do that carrier product. So you can get the gist of this, that you can really personalize this so it's very specific to your lead or your client, and save that template. So now we've created a template or edited one. And below here, we have these marketing plans. I like to consider these date triggered marketing. You can use them for other things, but I really like to just have my date triggered in here, and then I use automated workflows for everything else other than mass email. So here, let's do this renewal number 1 email. So this would go out to all leads and clients, and it would go out maybe 90 days before their renewal date. And you can see that there are options for sending out before or after their birthday, 65th birthday, effective and renewal date. You can also send on their birthday, 65th birthday, effective and renewal date. And then I would choose that email template of renewal number 1. I would start it as of today, because maybe somebody's going to be renewing soon. And I would send it to all leads and clients. You can also choose to do all new leads that only assigned to me, or do not send to leads, do not send to clients. So since this is renewal, I won't send to leads. I'll only send to clients, and save that marketing plan. Simple as that. I'm sure that it's more complicated as you're starting it, but you have these options for you. And once you get familiar with them, it does go rather fast. But also, if I should mention, if you're an admin or an account owner and you're building this stuff out, let your agents know that these things are going to be triggered, because it's going to be more helpful for them to know that the system is working for them, and they'll engage with it more if they know, oh, if I enter in their birthday with their year, I can have a turning 65 email generate automatically for that lead or that client. So now let's go into automated workflows. This is my favorite part of Radius. I love it. It's in settings. And this is where, say I got BCC on that renewal template email. Now I can create a workflow for renewal pending. I'm going to put them, all I'm going to do is have my status change from maybe active client, or maybe it's a tag that generates it. Maybe that would be a better idea. Have a tag that generates renewal pending. And then I can have a workflow that then sends out a series of emails and maybe SMS messages and calls. So here I've got renewal pending is the workflow. I'll stop it if it no longer matches criteria, because once I actually get that contract renewed, I will move them to a status of active, or whatever you want to call it, or remove the tag of renewal pending. This will be for clients. You could have it tagged with renewal pending. That's probably the smartest approach, or a status of renewal pending, and then save that workflow. You can see that there are other options for automated workflows, such as tagged with, new record added to account, temperature, status, coverage type, carrier, product, state, zip code, not updated in. This is good if you've got like a larger team and you are round robining those leads and those clients, and somebody got assigned a lead or a client, they haven't updated their file within 2 days. You might want to reassign it to a different person. So once you've created that, you're going to save the workflow. Then you can add as many actions as you want. Here you can see you can create a task, send an email, send a text message, add or remove a tag, reassign an agent or a record status, add or remove to a call queue, or do an advanced HTTP trigger. So there are a lot of options for you here. For me, I like to add somebody into a call queue, which is why I showed you how to build that first. So maybe 1 minute after they have their status changed to renewal pending, or their tag added as renewal pending, they'll get put into that renewal pending call queue. Or maybe you want to say 1 hour after, or a day, week, month, year. You can do it whatever time frame you want it to go into that call queue. For me, I think, I'll give you a good example of this as far as a new lead and then into a second attempt goes in just one moment. But let me show you in Create Task. You can assign it to a specific user or to the assigned user, so whoever the assigned agent is, or to a specific person. So if there's like a verification task that one person on the team does, creating a new task is a good idea. But for me, I prefer to use my call queues as much as possible, because then anytime that I have a moment free, I'm going into my call queues and calling those people. You can send an email, again, with whatever time frame you want, to the assigned agent, to the leader or client, to a specific agent, or even to a specific email address. So if you've got a verification person who's not within Radius, they're not a user within Radius, you can create an email template for verification that goes directly to them anytime the status is verification needed, or in underwriting, whatever you want it to be. You can send a text message. Now, you can only send a text message if the cell phone number is in the leader, the client's cell phone field. So just be aware of that. But you can set up this automation to go out anytime that there is a cell phone number in that cell phone field. And again, you can personalize it with these snippets saying, hi, first name. Perhaps this example is going to be that the status changed to second attempt needed. I like a nice best practice is, hi, first name, I just left you a voice message, but I'm sure you pre-screen your calls. Maybe I just left you a voice message in regard to your quote request. So that way it's very specific. And you can even use that coverage type. If you've assigned them a coverage type, you could have that coverage type quote request. I'll try you back in 2 hours, but if you need me sooner, my number is, and then you would put your agent phone number, which is down here. And then that way they're going to get this text message, and it's going to reinforce your phone number, because so many people do ignore phone calls that are coming in. And this is just one way for you to have this best practice of having that greater recognition of your phone number, of your name, and you're personalizing it in a way that builds more of that one-on-one relationship, which then builds that greater trust. So this is a really good tool for you. And even, sending an email with kind of the same messaging of like, hi, just tried to reach you, because sometimes you're going to have their email, but not their cell phone number. Sometimes you're going to have, their cell phone number and not their email. So creating kind of duplicate actions going out to multiple contact sources is probably a good idea, especially as you're working a lead. When you get to that client level, maybe the renewal in process, possibly you just have one email and one text message go out. The client experience is slightly different than the lead experience when you're working those people. But adding to a call queue is probably the way that I do most of my business. When a new lead comes into our system, I put them into my first attempt call queue. I then, if I don't reach them, I disposition them to second attempt needed, and then that would remove them automatically from my first attempt needed call queue and adds them in. For me, it's 2 days later, because I recognize you guys have a lot to look at, and also you need to do your own jobs as you're building out the CRM. So for me, I do a larger time frame, whereas you guys might do it 2 hours later rather than 2 days. But the adding and the removing automatically just keeps me really on track with the way that I need to work my call queues. So that's that. Again, all of this is covered in much more depth in the articles. Note that this is not retroactive. It'll only apply to new triggers. So if you already have people in the system with these triggers, it's not going to automatically go out to all those people who already have those things. So that's just a good information about that. We also built out a few months ago, we released the appointment reminders. So not everybody knows that this is there. So I want to highlight this. You can go into settings and appointment reminders, and then you can add a reminder to those appointments. So, and again, this is not retroactive. So any reminders scheduled prior to the timeline below will not receive an appointment reminder notice. So the category is appointment. And this is generating from the task that you've created. I'll show you how to create a task in just a moment. I should have done that first, I think. But So here you can say, should I send it before the reminder time or when the reminder is created? So maybe when the reminder is created, I want to send them an email, and it's the appointment reminder email template. Make sure you edit that, but that'll hopefully be in there for you. If you have a newer account, you'll see that template. If you have an older account with us, you might need to build that, but we have information about that on the articles. And then you would send it to the leader, the client, to the assigned agent, or to a specific agent. So let's send this to the leader, the client. And then you can add in maybe a text message. So again, for appointment, and maybe I'll send it 2 hours before the reminder time, before the appointment time. I'm going to send them a text message. And again, I can personalize it, and I have this appointment date, time, and location information. So I could say, hi, first name. I'm looking forward to meeting you at appointment time, at location, whatever. And then you send it to that leader, that client, and you hit create. So this is a good way for you to keep your appointment notifications flowing. So if you're in a leader or client file, you can click add task in their file and create that appointment. So that's how those will be generated, is you create the appointment reminders first in that appointment settings appointment reminders section. And then anytime that you create a new task for that leader, that client, it's going to generate those appointment reminders for them. If you're in calendar and you hit add event, or if you're up here in this dashboard here and you hit add task, those are general. They're not specific to the leader, the client. So having those appointments set in their leader, the client file is the way to associate it with the leader, the client. Even when you hit add task, you'll see it says creating new task for that person. So that's going to be important for you. So that's that. And then just trying to think. Oh, sending mass email. Let's go into email. This is where you would do your mass email. So you should check how many emails per day per message your email provider allows for. Companies like SendGrid allow you to send thousands of emails per day, depending on your plan with them. A personal Gmail account only lets you send 500 per day, but a G Suite account bumps that up to 2,000 a day. So again, check with your email provider in advance of sending out mass emails to deter bounce backs and non-delivery or spam flags. But here you can see that you can send for leads, for clients. And I really like this date of birth option here. This is another kind of age range marketing that's going to be really helpful. So if you sell health insurance, you might want to send out to all of the kids of parents that you currently have the kids on the plan, but they're turning 26. So you can send with the date of birth range, so that way you can hit that turning 26 market. Or if you sell life insurance or financial planning or anything like that, you might want to do a campaign that's specific to a certain age group. People who are starting families versus people who are pre-retirement, people who are now over 65. Whatever it is, this date of birth range is a really helpful tool to market to specific age groups that are associated with the product lines you sell. You can also send to a variety of other things. Another really good one is sending with a carrier of, to send carrier updates. So that way you can attach any product documentation that you want to send. It's also going to give you the leader, the client count, so you'll know how many people are going to receive that message. This is also where you would send out newsletters. So if you were to send it to all people, you might end up hitting against your, so if I choose all, you can see that now I've got it sending out to 5 leads and 4 clients. That's not going to hit my daily limit, so I'm not concerned about it. But if it was like 5,000 people, I might have to check my daily email limit with my email provider. Okay. So now I'm going to show you a little bit. Let me just see how we're doing on time. We're good. Okay. let's go in and I'm going to show you how to create carriers and products. So that way, when you are sending out these carrier and product updates, you can also have email attachments of those product documentations. So if we go into settings and we go into carriers, we can add as many carriers as we want, and you can do it per row. And I'm just going to make up fake names here because I don't want to delete some of these because I'm not feeling totally creative in this moment. But you can see that you can do one carrier line per row. Hit create. And so now I see test is in there and I can hit edit. I can add in notes about that carrier. I can add in information for the contact information there. And let me just put in a sample address, 1 North Street. The city is Los Angeles, there we go, Arkansas. And then 91505, this is the worst address ever. And then 212-999-0000. And then email address, email, and then their website link, www.test.com. Save that information. Now you can add in additional carrier contacts that you have. And then documents. This is the one that's going to be really helpful for you to access these on the email screen, and then also for you to have your agents get that carrier information directly from this left-hand corner of the column here where it says carrier info. So it's just a place that you can have as a resource for all of your current product documentation. So let's put in schedule of benefits, choose a file, files, then we'll just do this. Do a smaller file. Okay, so now I can upload that file and I can determine, do I want agents to have access to it in this carrier info section? Do I want to see it on the lead view page? Probably not, because I don't need to schedule benefits on a lead page. Do I want it on the client page? Yep. Do I want to be able to email it as an attachment? Yep. What's the category? For me, this is product documentation. And then do I want to associate it with all products or a specific product if I've already set up those products? And then here it says 10 megabytes per file. We've actually upped that to 20 megabytes per file. You've got unlimited storage. Unlimited number of files that you can store, but there is a 20 megabyte per file limit. So I'll attach that file, and now that's there. You can also attach a web link if you want to give agent access, lead client view, or client view access to that web link as well. So this might be a portal for that carrier. That way you would only choose agent access because you don't want to be giving the leads or the clients a portal access. So that now will display in my carrier information here. And all of the contact information and all of the things that I said that could appear here are now here. So having access to all of that is great. And then when I'm sending out that mass email, it will appear at that bottom of the email list for all of the schedule of benefits. And it'll say the carrier name right there too. So you have this test and then schedule of benefits. So that's how you would do that. I'll also cover creating products because I know that this is something that you guys have so many options as far as the way that your contracts work. So it's a little overwhelming sometimes to add a product. So add a product, you'll choose the carrier, then you can put in multiple products per row. Sometimes you also have, if you have the same commission structure for all of the products, I do recommend saying PPO 75, PPO 60, and then you can edit the details out of it. But if they're really disparate commission structures, just do one at a time. But let's do this. I think I already have this example in there, so let me just make a big, yeah, there we have it. Okay, so is this commission paid monthly, yearly, or every so often? So every X months. We'll leave it as monthly, and renewal is paid monthly, or maybe it's paid yearly every X months. A lot of people ask about, well, how do I set up for advances? First, you need to set up this aspect of it. So you'll set up your product documentation first, your product structure first. Then once you get to the leader, the client, you get to the client, you'll assign the specific product with their specific premium details and their specific effective and renewal date. That will generate a commission module, and then it will give you a schedule of when you should get paid, and then you'll say when you actually got paid. So if I had a $10 per month commission and I should be paid every first of the month on it, and I got a 6-month advance on October 1st, I would say I got paid $60 because of that 6-month advance, rather than the $10 per month schedule. Hopefully that was clear. So now we can choose that this is going to be a flat fee, if it's going to be a percentage of premium, if it's going to be tier years, commissionable premiums, or if it's Medicare Advantage, the prorated calendar. So that way, if you sign them in March, it's only going to give you that prorated amount for the calendar year. So for tier years, this is probably the most complicated, so I'll show you this example. So we're going to put in a default premium. This is just what the typical product would be, or the average product would be. Now, sometimes you're going to have a product where it's very specific and you'll put in the actual premium here as well, but for the most part, you're putting in what the average premium is. Let's put in $500 monthly. Now, for the first tier year, or the first set of tier years, but for the first year, maybe this is 110%. But for the next 4 years, it's going to go down to 75%. And for the remaining time on that policy, so after year 5, once they get into year 6, it's a totally different rate. So you're going to get 30%. So the way that you would probably put this in is 100 years. So for the next amount of time until they cancel that policy, it would be at 30%. So you can see it's not like year 1, year 2, 3, 4. You're putting in 4 as the number of years. So second tier number of years. And we have examples here on the right-hand side for you as well. But this is a clarification point that I make often. So I just wanted to flag that. And then you'll hit save. And now those products are created. And now if I go into a client file and I assign them that product, and I say, first I'll give them their actual premium. So maybe hers is a little bit more expensive. You can also do commissions, renewals override, and bonuses. They can be positive or negative. I'll save that update and set the effective and renewal date. Then 10, maybe 9/30, 2020. Okay, so now I've got that. So now in my commission section, it'll generate the payment amount that I should have based off of what we've created on that product level. And then if I have got that advance, I can say I actually got paid early. I don't know why that would happen, but I got paid early and my actual payment amount was $12.10 because I got a 2-month advance on that product. So that's how you do advances. Okay, so that's the carrier and the products. I know that they are probably the most complicated thing to figure out how your structure is going to work. So I did want to show you that example. Again, there are more examples in the tutorials, but definitely feel free to ask specific questions about those. If it's personal to you rather than a general question, you can always hit us up and just ask us a question using that start conversation. The last thing I want to cover is linked records. I think this is a really important concept, especially as you're selling health insurance or life insurance or anything like that. Especially with Medicare. I think it honestly is the most helpful to people who sell Medicare. So when you link a record, here you can see that she's got a linked record already. So this example, she's the doctor and he's the patient. You can see that client relationship there. You'll also be able to see it in this linked record section on every page of the person's file, so you can toggle between the two of them. Now, why is this important? Well, for the most of you who sell Medicare or sell any kind of health insurance especially, you would have one family member on a plan and then the other person, so say in the example of Medicare, one person ages in, but then that person's spouse hasn't aged into Medicare yet. You would want to add that person in as a lead, so that way when they start, when they're about to turn 65, you can then contact them 180 days prior to their effective, or before their turning 65 date. So that date triggered marketing will come into play even with a lead that has a client as a, that already has an active client as a spouse. And here you can see you can have as many linked records as you want here. So Sally Davidson is a spouse. So if I wanted to add a linked record, I would simply click add record and I'll search for Sally. And here I can select the relationship of parent, child, sibling, spouse, employee, employer, friend, business associate, duplicate, referred by, referral of, relative, beneficiary, domestic partner, patient, or doctor. So here you've got these relationships, so you know who that kind of person is, and you can toggle between their accounts, but also you can market to that other person. That's like the key part. So when I was showing you about those children who are turning 26, that's why it's important to have somebody who's a child in there, even if they're not the primary person on the policy. So that's how you're going to link those people together. So you would first add that person in. So let's say this person is Steve Davidson. Email at email.com, and then I can put in their date of birth, and can't think of how old somebody would be when they're 26, but say their birth date is, what would that be? 1997. Let's assume I'm right, but probably wrong. So here we create this lead, and now I'm going to link the record to his parents. So I'm going to search for last name Davidson, select the relationship of parent. So Sam is his father, and Sally is his mother. Again, I'm going to select that relationship. And so now I know who the parents are, I know who the child is, and if I toggle between that relationship will be also in their file as well. So the links are all there. So you can see, even though I didn't create Steve as a child, because the parent is the link that I gave it, the child is listed there, and the lead type is there as well, so client or lead. So again, like the benefit of using these linked records are really to market to your existing clients' relationships. And you can also exclude them from marketing, of course, because if you don't want to be reaching out to them, that's fine as well. You could give them a specific status of related to client, could be a status, and that way they're taken out of that lead process. But yeah, that's how you would market to those people, or link them together for either, groups like companies, or other kinds of relationships like patient and doctor. Okay, so those are the key things I wanted to cover. I know it was a lot, and I know it was pretty fast, but I think that these are the concepts, at least, that you should have as you're going into this period. So that way you're really able to work on that. And then also, just using the dialer, I think, is a big deal as well. So having your first attempt call queue set up. So that way, if you've got our basic plan on the dialer, you can simply click on that phone number. It launches the call. It'll bring you into that person's file. So you go in here, you click on the phone number, you would update their status, and then the triggers can work for whatever that status change is based off of those automated workflows that you've already created. And then you could go to the next person in the list. If you've got our full VIOP solution, you can hit launch dial queue and it'll roll those calls. Also, if you've got the full VIOP, we recently released a feature where you can call the list with the dial queue. So let me reset these filters here. If I wanted to send to everybody with a status of second attempt or with a status of something specific, or maybe a good example is if I'm doing appointments in a specific county, I could search in this find lead section and search by county contains, and then call that list directly from this filter and then hit that call list with dial queue. You can also do so in saved reports. So if you go to reports, saved reports, you run the report, and then you can call list with dial queue. So that's only if you have that VIOP that you would have the dial queue available. But it's a super helpful tool to just like go through those calls, get your reports taken care of, get your call queue list taken care of, get any filter lists that you have taken care of. And I'm sure that most of you are aware of the differences in our dialers, so I won't really go into that. These are like the main features of how you would use this during open enrollment, is really rolling those calls either through the click to call side of things or with this call list with dial queue, and really organizing your call lists, again, using that automated workflow is really going to help you. I know it'll take you a little bit of time to build the call lists out and whatnot, but once you've got those call lists with the automations, you're going to find that it's just so much easier to keep organized with who you're calling in when. Another benefit of having the VIOP is that if you do that call, you'll have an option to leave a voicemail, which will save you so much time and energy. So you could drop in that pre-recorded message to really help you roll those calls faster and still have that kind of contact with that person. Because when you hang up too often on somebody, they might block your number or whatnot. So using the voicemail drop is a really helpful tool to keeping that one-to-one relationship concept going. That's going to impact the way that you are engaging with your lead or with your client as well. Okay, so now let's get to the questions. Clue, did you want to chime in and give me a list of the questions you want me to cover, or do you want me to go through that list?
I think, and I could be wrong, I was able to answer most of them, but I guess Chris's most recent question was, is this call being recorded? Yes, we are recording the demonstration. And once we get it uploaded to our YouTube channel, we'll push out a link to the internal chat system for anyone and everyone to access this particular demonstration Danielle just did.
Okay, great. Anything from the list of questions that you think I should show them?
No, I think there was one question around, I'll just cover it for Facebook leads, for importing from Facebook leads. Typically, everyone, we've got 3 to 4 options. One option is through a company called Sync to CRM. Another option is through like a leads bridge. All these providers actually post or receive the lead information from your Facebook account and then automatically map it into Radius. The fourth option really is through Zapier. Some agents and agencies like Zapier because it's a minimal to no cost solution. So that allows you to take your leads from Facebook into Zapier and then Zapier into Radius. If you're going through that setup process, we've got some screenshots that show you how to do that on your end. And then we've also helped other agencies kind of just get through some of the final touches with those things coming in from Zapier. So that's the Facebook component. Danielle's done a great job, not only with this call, but in our YouTube videos in general. For everyone on our YouTube channel, we've got, I think, almost 40 various videos and vignettes that are 1 to 2 minute, maybe 5 minute in length, depending upon the topic. Very informative, there for your access at your fingertips on a 24-hour type of basis. So you can do it when you're not too busy. But that just helps you kind of review anything and everything from a live perspective. The YouTube channel is very good.
And you can access those by searching in the help center as well, as I showed you. And this importing leads from lead vendors instructions are the ways that you would integrate those. That's how you would integrate the leads, sync to CRM, and leads bridge information is here for you. The Zapier, again, is not here in this list, but we would give you those specifics once you create a conversation.
It looks like Corey's got a question. When you set up workflows, there seems to be two ways to set up an email or a text to go out. I mean, Corey, there's really one way within a workflow to do that. Now, there are various actions, right? So you set up one workflow, let's just say one overarching workflow potentially, but within that workflow, you can have multiple or unlimited actions. So one action within that workflow that's triggered could be to send a text message to yourself or to the leader client, and then send an email once again to yourself or to the leader client too as well. So some agencies do it kind of drastically different, where they've got kind of one or two workflows that kind of manage everything from an action perspective. And then some agencies and agents kind of get really granular, where they've got a multitude of workflows with multiple actions. So kind of just depends how you kind of run your day-to-day business. But one workflow can trigger both an email and a text message within the same workflow.
And the benefit of having your emails in here, because I know we've got that option in the drips to add marketing campaigns, but if you do have a lot of actions, you'll be able to see the order of it and also how many minutes it's taking or how many hours it's taking. So I like this option because then everything is in one place. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I haven't been getting that many opens on the email that I'm sending for this specific workflow. Maybe I'll adjust it so that way I give it more time so that they maybe have a chance to listen to my voicemail before opening that email. So this is an easier way to edit the time flow of the workflow itself, which is why I like having it in here.
Yeah, and definitely a great point. And to build off of that is the workflows just give you more functionality from the system than the drips, right? Because drips is just solely email. Now workflows can manage those emails like a drip, but also the text messages and the calendar task items and the changing of statuses and adding, removing tags, adding the call queue, so on and so forth, those type of things. So very beneficial. And typically with most users, we're recommending the workflow concept versus the drip concept when it comes to sending out and having multiple actions. So Corey, when you set the action, when does that timeline start? So the workflow is basically triggered based upon how you've defined it. So it could be when a new lead is added to the system, you can have an email or text message go out instantaneously, right? Or maybe you've had leads and clients that are in the system and you change the trigger to be a certain carrier or a certain product or whatever it may be. Once that leader client reaches that particular trigger point, that's when those things can be enacted. So you kind of define and control when those things are fired off.
And so up here, this section is you defining the trigger. And then these sections down here are defining the actions based off of when that trigger happened. Okay. Any other questions we should hit, Clue? I mean, we're a little over time, but if there's anything big that we should cover first.
I don't think so. I think you've done a great job, Danielle, covering covering everything.
Yeah, and we'll send a list of the questions and upload the video soon. So yeah, please keep us posted how we can be of help. And we will go from there. Have a successful open enrollment period. May it be very chaotic and crazy, and may Radius help you get a little less chaotic with it. All right, guys, have a beautiful day, and I will talk to you soon.